my life.
Well, why don't you
And then I go spend time with the people I love.
So yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, but why don't you...
Yeah, but not myself and my computer, just me.
And some tea.
And some, holographic
Yeah.
versions of other people.
But that's a very egocentric fear of death, right? I think that's a fear of death that everyone would have, that they may die without fulfilling their potential, right?
That doesn't have to be an egocentric point of
but
death.
What about...
I think it is, and sometimes it's maybe too grandified. Like we say, I've got so much potential, and it can be very narcissistic, and we think that who the fuck do you think you're you're a writer and anybody cares about your words?
But maybe that's because we don't have significant others or children, right? So maybe when we do have those things, it would change. We don't want to die because we don't want to hurt them. Or we don't want to see them not grow up, right?
But I guess, that's also part of the sort of
that's
thing.
Like finishing a novel, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I had children, I'd also,
Would you leave me instructions on how to raise your children?
Yeah,
okay.
I would, I think it depends how many. If I had 2 children, I'd give instructions for one child, and then let you see what the other, how things go, and then you can just give me the feedback, and then I'll be like, okay, now I know how to raise children, or how not to raise children.
Okay.
And then I can write my novel in the afterlife and pass it on to generations of how to raise children.
Okay, so this is really interesting. So I just watched a documentary on this 9-year-old Buddhist boy who one day woke up and started speaking about this monastery in Tibet and spawning all these memories that were from years and years ago. And they decided that he was a reincarnation of a great Tibetan monk. So they made him head of this monastery, and people would come and pray to him in the north of India, right? Did this for 2 years, and then after 2 years they say, someone from Tibet should have come and collected you. One of your old disciples should have come. So you're not actually a great Tibetan monk. You're a fraud.
Oh, what?
So they kick him out of this monastery. And his uncle says, no, you are the great Tibetan monk. So they walk across India to Tibet. It takes them 4 months. All right? 4 months. And they get there to the border, and the Chinese say, no, you can't go in. So he ends up going to a Tibetan monastery right on the border. And the uncle goes, okay, I'm going to leave you now. I'm going to go back home. And he goes, and the boy goes, when I finish my studies, I'll come home and take care of you. And he goes, no, when you finish your studies, I'll be an old man and you'll be a Tibetan monk. Go to your monastery. And he goes, no, looking after you will be the best moment of my life. Right? And I thought it was so beautiful because he'd spent all this time trying to figure out who he was in his past life. But who he is in this life is just someone who's going to take care of his uncle.
And maybe that allows you to know who you were in your past life.
Yes. So,
understanding
your
purpose in this life.
Yeah. Right? So my mother's hoping that she'll meet my grandmother again when my grandmother is reincarnated in her next life. But my grandmother will hopefully use the memories of the life that she had with us to achieve a better purpose in her new life.
Yeah. I think that's very beautiful.
Yeah.
That we actually, I guess that idea of learning still continues. Like there's still this building. And
but also we spend so much time trying to figure out who we are. Maybe we should be trying to figure out who we were.
But didn't you say the opposite about the monk?
Yeah. Sorry, but at least he used those. But he used those memories of who he was to learn who he was.
So he thought he was this reincarnated.
Yeah, but I mean, he's 9 years old. How much can he possibly know?
Well, I don't know. I feel like I know children who are a lot wiser than
us.
Than us. Than adults.
So I don't know if we've actually touched on a lot about death in this podcast.
Well, so I mean,
death is a difficult topic, though.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of torn between these two ideas, really. Like, one, I think death is this incredible thing because what it actually allows us to do is evade boredom on a deep level because we're consistently aware of the finite and the endingness of something. So that creates this ability to feel a certain immersion within the things we do that we find like this, this is like rapture from certain things, that we can just be like so joyous, and we actually get up in the morning and go to work, and we try to create beautiful moments, and we try to create things, and we try to make art, and we do all these things.
But you think that's all spurred by the fear of death? Or like the acknowledgement of death?
Well, possibly the fact that something's going to end. It's like when something is just sort of endless, then you're just a bit like there's a lot of inertia, and you're just like, well, I can do it tomorrow, right? It's even, when you live in an area, you never go to the things around you,
that's so
because
true.
they're always going to be there.
And then when you move out of the area, you're like, why didn't I go to those?
And then you're like, oh, I'll go there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think it's a similar kind of thing, that if we know we're just going to be immortal, like, what's the point in really like getting up and doing a podcast? We can do it next week.
No, I agree with that sentiment.
And
completely.
so you're kind of... But then on the other sense is that I feel that a lot of my anxieties and the way in which we deal with the world, and maybe a lot of ego things like trying to eternalize ourselves, are based on this kind of anxiety that we will die, or this fear of the end of something. And to be maybe more at peace with that, I think would be quite beneficial. But I think maybe there's a balance between the two ideas, where we can have sort of a peaceful connection to death, and see it as this beautiful thing that ends, but still also use it in a way that energizes us to actually fulfill our potential if we do have one.
But I think the issue is as well that nothing in our life really ends. So even when a relationship ends, there's still the potential that one can get back together. Or even when you finish your university studies, there's still the potential that you can go and do more studies. Like, there's nothing in our lives that actually ends.
Yeah.
Like, even if you have cancer, for example, when you do your treatment and the cancer goes away, there's still the potential it can come back. Whereas death, I think, is the only thing that actually ends something. And we just don't know how to process that.
Well, I guess we don't know if that's the end. I think it's just the unknown.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and also the thing about the things that you said, it's not only that they die, it's that they have residue that echoes. So that there's a certain resonance.
It really reverberates, right?
Yeah, through our lives and through time. And so I don't know why death would necessarily be different. There could be like, I think these ideas of the afterlife, we kind of say that it moves, that the same person lives in essentially the same form of personality, but maybe in a different form in the afterlife. But maybe it's
Do you
just
mean
like
form of personality or form of like force? Form of like the soul?
Yeah. Well, we always think like you were saying with your mum, she wants to, that reincarnated into another body.
Yeah.
But in her head, I imagine what she's thinking is just essentially all the qualities. Everything is essentially the same.
Yes, exactly.
As your grandmother.
Yeah.
It's just she might have brown hair and
exactly. Or she might be a man, right? Or she might be
But really that
same essence, right? Yeah.
And I think maybe what becomes quite an interesting idea is the distinction between a soul or an essence and a personality. And that maybe a personality is socially constructed. Yeah. And actually a conditioned thing, whereas an essence is just an energetic force that we don't know how it manifests. So I think sometimes we think that the personality and the soul are one that manifest in a body. Yeah. But maybe the soul manifests as a personality that manifests as a body.
Right?
Yeah.
But then the soul is the only thing that goes...
Yeah, and the personality and the body are both social constructs. Well,
right?
Yeah, the body's like biologic, like physical construction.
Yeah.
Personality as a social construction, and soul as like a preliminary kind of spiritual construction.
Yeah, but where does your soul stop rather than your personality begin? Right? I think that's where we get confused.
Like, does the personality go into the afterlife?
Yeah, exactly.
We know the body dies.
And we know the soul goes, right? But what happens to personality?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's... And maybe personality is soul. Or,
but I think it would be very nice to think that the personality is soul. So even if she was reincarnated as a butterfly, she'd still have the same soul as my grandmother. Right? So whatever she reincarnates as, she'd have the same personality as my grandmother. Like, she was a butterfly, she'd be forcing all the other butterflies to eat. She'd be like a very giving butterfly.
Yeah.
Right? Or caterpillar, rather, and then turn into a butterfly. But
I guess that And like that's also an interesting idea, like generosity. Like,
Yeah.
is this
Is
a
that a
quality of a personality or
is it
of
a soul?
like energy?
Yeah.
And I think you can have a generous spirit. You know, people also
exactly.
talk about generous
Spirit rather than generous personality, right?
Yeah. So you can. So the
And
giving,
they say
the
evil
giving of
spirits,
something,
right?
but you can be not giving, like physically giving of something, but still
can
be
be
a
generous.
generous
Yeah.
energetically.
So actually, this is, if we move away from that, this is a good time for us to discuss the practicalities of death. So the most annoying thing about my grandmother's death was that she hadn't told us what the fuck she wanted us to do if she died. Like every time I would ask her, what do you want us to do when you die? She'd be like, no. We'll discuss it next time.
Yeah, because it's very hard to...
It's very hard to discuss, but that also means that, we cremate the body and we're like, where should we put the ashes? Or what funeral, where did you want your funeral? Like, who do you want us to invite to your funeral?
But I think...
So if you were to die...
Well, I think...
In the midst of season 1, what would you want me to do?
I think you guys, I think you would know, right?
I would know.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the people close to us probably know as much as we know.
No, but you say that, but everyone has different views.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, that's true.
Everyone has...
so there was really, with your family, there was a lot of...
Yeah, so she loved India, but so the prevailing theory is to send her to the ashes, drop her ashes in the Ganges, the holy river. But not everyone can go to India, and she loved family more than she loved India. So the alternative would be to go to Windsor, and they've got a beautiful river there, and then put the ashes there, but take the whole family in a minibus and make a day out of it. So it's would she want all the family to do that, or would she rather go to India?
But I think, let's say, I think the energy behind both those ideas, sort of pay reverence to her in a way that she would appreciate.
Yeah, that's true. So whichever one we choose will be fine with her.
And they both show a sense of knowledge about the person.
Right.
Right?
But then that obviously creates drama between the family, right? Whichever one we choose, there will be some people saying, she would have wanted, why are we doing this? We should do it like this, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I think, I should probably leave clear instructions.
Yeah, that's true, but I guess you don't know necessarily when... Or maybe she just wasn't so fast.
Yeah, maybe every time I'm trying to ask her about death, she's like, I'm trying to watch this TV show. Will you just, what do you do?
When I die, I die.
Yeah, when I die, exactly. Yeah.
And what were her views on? Did you know, her views on death?
No, so
afterlife and stuff?
She was more concerned about, feeding.
Okay.
But maybe that's the...
Well, yeah, because you don't want to go into the afterlife on an empty stomach.
No, I completely agree with that. No, but even when she was passing away, she was like, Sham, have you eaten? I'm like, yeah, I know, I don't think that's really important right now. But I have eaten. Yeah, I have, don't worry.
My grandma's the same because she's in hospital now.
Yeah.
And I went to see her yesterday. And I'm trying, I bought some food. I was trying to feed her as well. But she's got to be drinking water and all these other things. After. And she was getting so agitated about me not eating.
Yes, exactly.
And she just, Ilyas, eat. And then she gets angry at me if I don't.
Exactly, right?
Eat. It's, yeah.
But it made me realize that food and death are maybe more entwined than we thought. Because our grands were very ill, and yet they were still wanting us to eat. So maybe, as you're about to die, whoever you're meeting in the afterlife, it's food. Food is the key.
Well, maybe they're worried there's not they don't have organic produce and. But I think for our because we're whatever second or third generation Indians.
Yeah.
Our grandparents grew up in much worse conditions than us, and the idea of being fed is a very important and hard thing to do. So, we've got to try and. Yeah, we've got to. They're always constantly trying to keep the survival, this idea of food, whereas it's so easy for us.
Oh, well, maybe that's why she's talking about food so much, because food is the key to survival, right?
Yeah.
She's like, make sure you eat so you don't end up like me.
Yeah, I think so. So that to keep you, maybe that's the answer.
That's the answer. So we should eat more. Should we go out to eat?
Yeah.
Let's go out to eat.
Okay.